So we are live now. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dear Honorable Speaker, special guest, research enthusiast participants, good evening. Welcome to your most expected research idea series. I am Jashia Islam, Campus Research Ambassador of Gobeshok Hote Chai, the BRBD platform from Bangladesh University of Engineering and Technology. It's my pleasure to host today's program. Before diving into today's lecture, I will introduce Gobeshok Hote Chai, the BRBD platform, its mission, and activities. গবেষক হতে চাই বীর SUHI is an online-based, non-profit, open platform directed by some world-class scholars. They're relentlessly working to promote research and guide young researchers in Bangladesh. Its vision is to leverage research in higher educational institutions for sustainable development all over the world. This effort has been initiated by Mr. Mohammad Sabir Hossain, or Sabir sir. He is working as an assistant professor at the Department of Computer Science and Engineering, CSE, of Chittagong University of Engineering and Technology, BUET, Bangladesh. Universities are the place for knowledge creation and dissemination. However, we know that the universities are going in the traditional way. Although the final year students do their thesis or project for obtaining the certificate, but research and publication at undergraduate level, they are very rare. Mr. Sabir Hossain worked in a different way. By his effort, the second year students of the CSE department of BUET have published more than 10 articles in international conferences and journals. This type of accomplishment is rare, not only in Bangladesh, but also in first world universities. Being perplexed by this achievement, he has created this platform to diverge his enthusiasm among all of the students who are interested in higher studies. They are assisting researchers by sharing research-related resources such as books, papers, websites, conducting online-offline training, courses, arranging seminars, workshops, webinars, research collaboration and supervision, arranging internship opportunities, and so on. Previously, they have conducted the country's first complete online training on how to become a researcher. This course covers the basic concepts, tools, techniques required to be a researcher from with zero knowledge. The recorded lectures on YouTube received more than 26,000 views within only 8 months. Then they have started the most demanding online free course titled Python for Research from any discipline on 31st April 2021. Now this research idea series, what and why is this necessary? We all know that selecting research ideas is the most important step in research methodology. However, finding a research idea or topic is a challenging job for the research enthusiast new learners. To assist them in finding ideas easily, we are organizing this research idea series. Research scholars from home and abroad of different disciplines will deliver lectures related to his research expertise or domain knowledge. Basically, the speakers will share trending research topics, skills, tools, techniques required to start his or her current and past research projects, publication guidelines for a specific field. We have a plan to cover all the possible research areas in the near future. Now about today's lecture. Now I'm going to introduce today's lecturer and speaker. It's the 5th lecture of the research idea series titled Environmental Science Lecture Number 1, Engineering Research Topics in Environmental Sciences. The key highlight of this lecture are recent works on Bangladesh, emerging environmental research topics, becoming a researcher, publication outlet and tips, establishing collaborations beyond the country. Now about the speaker. Today's honorable speaker is Dr. Ashraf Hossain sir. He obtained his PhD in environmental management from Okayama University, Japan. Previously, he was a faculty member in the Department of Geography, University of Dhaka, for more than a decade. He is currently an academic staff in the School of Earth and Planetary Sciences at Curtin University, Australia. His research enthusiasm includes urban climate, natural hazards, health geography, climate change mitigation measures. Dr. Dewan has published 2 research books and more than 100 peer-reviewed papers in scholarly journals. The famous Stanford University has published a list of 171,000 best researchers from different countries. In this list published this year, the name of the world's top 2% of researchers living in Australia, a Bangladeshi researcher, Dr. Ashraf Dewan. He has been getting a place in this list published every year since 2016. So the lecture will start now. There will be a question answering session after the lecture. You can ask questions by commenting on this live program on our page. Now I'm requesting our honorable speaker to start today's lecture. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Jessie, for welcoming me to this episode of Becoming a Good Researcher, or Gobeshok Hote Chai. I'm really honored to have invited to this series, and thank you all. And thanks, special thanks to those who are actually arranging this meeting every month or every week, whatever it is. Welcome to my lecture today. I'm going to talk on emerging topics in environmental science. Basically, I'm a geographer, and I do research on different areas which are not particularly focused on environmental science, but they are actually focused on diverse areas. And today we're going to show a few of my works. I normally work on Bangladesh. The reason is there are very many issues in Bangladesh that can be researched. And obviously we do have lack of resources back home, which may be difficult for people to research on emerging issues. And since my career that I have begun in 1999, I still work on Bangladesh, and I do feel very much proud to work on Bangladesh, given the fact that I have been provided this education virtually without any sort of money, and the taxpayers of Bangladesh people have provided this money for me to study and to become highly educated, and therefore this is always my passion to work on Bangladeshi issues, and I'm just going to show a few of them today. And the thing is, you probably know some of my papers that have been published on international scholarly journals, but I'll just focus on a few today, so that that can actually give you an idea of what I'm doing over the last 2 decades on environmental issues of Bangladesh. So the presentation overview of this lecture is shown on the slide. The first thing that I'm going to talk about recent environmental works that I have done in association with my collaborators across the world. First of all, I'm going to talk about lightning in Bangladesh, which is an emerging and a very dangerous issue because it kills a good amount of people every year. I'll be highlighting where the area that is mostly stricken by lightning and how it is useful for people to make awareness to save their life. Then I'll focus on land use change, flood risk, and poverty. It is an interesting topic. A person from Oxford who actually works in QUET now, Bangladesh QUET or CHUET or whatever it is, Chittagong University of Science and Engineering or Science and Technologies. Sorry for that. And he's Dr. Mohammad Shofraz Adnan. We have done this work in collaboration that I'll show some interesting results out of it. Then I'll talk about local warming in Dhaka. This is a project that I was actually acting as a PI from, and the funder was the World Bank, and it was an intense competition globally. And we have done this work in association with University of Dhaka and Bangladesh Institute of International and Strategic Studies. So these are the 3 organizations, and I was the lead of this project that we are going to highlight some of the useful findings, followed by a recent work of mine that has just become accepted in an international journal, surface urban heat islands in 5 major cities in Bangladesh, including Chittagong, Rajshahi, Khulna, and Sylhet. Then I'll be talking on these emerging environmental topics that are really crucial for you to know, because if you want to work on environmental things or elements, you need to know where the world is moving towards. That will actually help you to understand how you can make an effort to become a very good researcher as long as environmental issues are concerned. I'll then talk on becoming a researcher, and you obviously know it is not something that I can give you really a very amazing something, but I'll put something from my own experience, from my own life. Then I'll talk publication outlets and tips. Obviously, you people know about it, but it is just, I was thinking to highlight something regarding environmental issues. And finally, I'm going to talk about establishing collaborations between beyond the country. In other words, if you want to establish a relationship in research with external people, what you need to do and how you can effectively develop this sort of relationship. All right, let's go to my presentation. And this is 3 papers. In fact, 4 papers have been published on a spatial temporal variation of lightning occurrence and casualties in Bangladesh. And as you know, lightning has declared as a disaster by government in 2016 after a number of people have been killed with this phenomenon. And therefore, what I have done, I was actually taking the lead to do some research on this so that it becomes a useful sort of information for policymakers of the country to make people aware about lightning. So these are the 3 important papers that have been published on this topic, and they are all accessible in ResearchGate. If you look at here, it is very difficult to give you all these things given that we have a time constraint of this lecture. So I'm just showing the key highlights of all my research that I have done over the last few years. And if you look at here, this is the diurnal variation of lightning occurrence in Bangladesh from 2013 to 2017, and according to 4 seasons. And you see here, the lightning are quite high in this time period during pre-monsoon, monsoon, post-monsoon, and winter. When you are comparing these 4 bar graphs, you can see that the pre-monsoon has got the highest lightning. More than 70% lightning incidence occurs during this pre-monsoon and monsoon season. But these 2 seasons are not rare, but their frequency gets tremendously reduced. So based on this information, you can easily identify which time period of a day has got the highest lightning incidence in Bangladesh. So it is from the afternoon to the late evening, we can get highest lightning activities during pre-monsoon, but during monsoon, this is in the afternoon season, in the afternoon time period. And when it is post-monsoon again, it gets high during the afternoon from 14 to 18 or 14 to 16 sort of PM. And if you look at in winter, and during the winter season, midnight and early morning has got the highest lightning incidences or activities in Bangladesh. If you look at the diurnal fatalities or number of people died from these incidents or this environmental hazard, you can see that this number are actually aligns with the incidence of lightning that I have shown in this slide. So if you see here, the lightning caused deaths are really high during pre-monsoon because it is not a surprise. The reason is we have got highest lightning activities or incidences during pre-monsoon over Bangladesh. So, and you can see here in the monsoon, the number is not that low, but in winter, this is quite low because we do not have that much lightning occurrence during this winter season. And these 2 maps are showing where we do have highest lightning activities. And you can see here in the northeastern Sylhet region, especially in Sylhet, Sunamganj, Maulibajar, they are the most highly affected lightning activities. It is because of the orographic effect that is caused by the Meghalaya plateau there. And also this area has got the highest or largest Haur area. And that Haur area actually triggers lightning activity in combination with orographic effect because of this, because of the Meghalaya plateau or Himalayan foothills. When you compare this map with this fatality rate map, you can see that Sunamganj, Maulibajar, these are the 2 highly affected lightning fatalities. And you can see here, this is per million every year. This area has got more than 7 or 8 people died per million people. And this Chapainaganj, because when people actually tries to pick up mango during the Kalwaishaki season or pre-monsoon or monsoon season, end of pre-monsoon season or beginning of the monsoon, they got struck here. And similarly, in Jhalokati area during monsoon season, we get the highest fatalities. So it is very difficult to say everything associated with this lightning activities and fatalities. However, it is quite useful to comprehend these two maps, which can actually help you to understand or to make people aware how lightning is a threat to people, life and livelihood. In summary of this paper that we have done, a strong concentration of lightning occurs from April to early June. And this time is very important because the boro rice cultivation is taking place this time. And when people goes to the field to harvest boro rice, they actually highly affected or impacted by these lightning activities. Lightning deaths, they are also frequent in this time period, as we have shown in one of the previous slides. Most consistent area for both lightning fatality and incidence is in the north and eastern districts of Sylhet, Sunamganj, Maulibajar, and so on. As I said, boro rice is the most frequently cultivated during pre-monsoon season, and it is actually during the harvesting time that people get struck with lightning. As a result, there are a number of deaths occurred in pre-monsoon season. One of the good things or one of the important things that we have identified with this research is that an unusually large amount of lightning and fatalities occur in the morning. It is quite infrequent across the world. You cannot find any part of the world that have got this type of lightning incidences in the early morning, and that is being researched in association with some of my colleagues in Bangladesh that may be able to answer in future why lightning fatality and incidences are high during the morning hours in Bangladesh, because this is a quite rare event across the world as far as lightning is concerned. So we are researching on this for last 6 years data, and we will be identifying why lightning has got highest in terms of incidents and fatalities during the morning, which is a very rare event across the world. As I mentioned before, this is a research that has been done in association with Oxford University and Curtin. And from Oxford University, Dr. Mohammad Sarfraz Adnan, he was the researcher of this project. When I was invited by Oxford to give a public lecture, I met him there, and we have started collaboration since then, and we are still in collaboration. We do publish papers in a year, and I'm going to show what we have done in this work. It is, as I said, these are very key highlights. So I'm not showing what methodology we have done, how we have done it, etc., but it is just the findings that can actually help people to understand what sort of research are actually emerging topics as far as Bangladeshi's issues are concerned. So, as you know, there are very many polders in the coastal areas of Bangladesh constructed during the Pakistan regime to save people and agricultural land from floods. They are known as polders. And Dr. Adnan was actually trying to identify how land use change in relation to this polder have impacted flood risk and wealth index in the coastal area of Bangladesh. So he was actually looking at the construction of polders, which has significantly modified the flooding patterns and as well as leading to significant land use and land cover. A spatiotemporal appraisal of poverty was also looked at with this research, and this research has been published in Land Use Policy last year. And if you are interested, this also can be accessed via ResearchGate as open access paper. And if you look at this slide, you can see that agricultural land is decreasing while aquaculture land is increasing, given that people can get saline water readily available within the polder, and that's why aquaculture has become a very good sort of livelihood means in the southwest coastal part of Bangladesh. Flood risk, when he has looked at this flood risk, the flood risk was highly correlated with land use change. In other words, because of these polders, land use is changing, and that actually driven this flood risk to increase in the southwest part of Bangladesh. Then Dr. Adnan was actually calculating the expected annual damage, and as you can see here, this is the comparison of expected annual damage among 4 land use and land cover scenarios, and you can see here this is increasing over time across different land use and land covers. And when he was actually looking at the poverty, this actually given us really very impressive result, and you can see here wealth index distribution in 2010 and in 2019, and this is the projected in 2030. So what we have identified with this study is that flood risk and patterns of land use and land cover change have a negative effect on wealth index. In other words, it is increasing wealth index, and increase of wealth index is likely to be low in the future, meaning that will impact especially marginalized people living in these areas. When you look at here, this is a temporal change of wealth index in southwest embanked areas, and this is the location of polders, and this graph shows the association between observed and estimated wealth index in 2020. So if you look at in the left hand side, so very low wealth index may decrease from 15% to in 2010 to 6% in 2030. This means the very marginalized people will be getting more poorer because of this land use change associated with flood risk. And as well as high and very high wealth index is likely to increase. That means richer people will get more richer by 2013, as we have identified with this research. So land use change and flood risk may hinder the or may obscure the growth of the wealth index in 2030. What we have identified is that we have tried to control the nature by putting polders, and these polders have given us immediate sort of benefits, but in the long run, it created a lot of difficulties, a lot of issues, environmental issues, especially reducing of wealth index across among people living in that area, and it is because of land use change that actually driven flood risk in southwest coast of Bangladesh. And honestly speaking, when Dr. Adnan has started this work, it was very difficult. And as I keep telling to my fellows, my friends always, that it is very difficult to work on Bangladesh due to lack of quality data. But Adnan was very much smart to get this work done by modeling and also collecting data from the field. Now let's look at a World Bank funded project that we have done last year in association with two Bangladeshi organizations, University of Dhaka, Department of Meteorology, and Bangladesh Institute of Environment, International and Strategic Studies, or BEIS. And we were actually researching local warming in Dhaka using remote sensing data, using GIS data, and also fieldwork. So probably you know the definition of local warming. It is nothing but urban areas are always warmer than the surrounding rural areas, which is also known as urban heat island effect. But it has now turned as local warming, because this local warming can drive regional warming, which eventually impact global warming and can increase temperature of the Earth's surface. As you can see here, this is a local warming sort of, or urban heat island sort of phenomenon. So these are cities and these are peripheral areas or rural areas. And as you can see this graph is showing that the temperature of city areas or urban areas are much higher compared to its rural areas. This is known as local warming or urban heat island effect. And its magnitude and intensity depends on a number of factors that are listed on the slide, especially land use change and the city size. If the city size is getting bigger, then the number of population gets increased, which actually eventually drive these urban areas to be warmer compared to its rural surface. Then we do have street geometry, we do have sky view factor. Sky view factor is a factor that seriously affects this local warming, because when sky view gets reduced, it traps solar radiation in the daytime, but in the nighttime it radiates very slowly, and heats get trapped in urban areas or buildings. And that's why sky view factor is another important factor in addition to these building materials, because building materials have got high heat conductivity. Anthropogenic heat sourced or generated from vehicles, generated from air conditions, generated from industrial areas, they can also impact local warming to be intensified. And then background climate like precipitation, existing temperature, and so on. Impervious surface is another factor, drives this local warming, and BUET ratio, which is the latent heat, surface heat divided by latent heat flux, that is also reduced because of this urbanized areas. And prevailing wind. Wind is the most important factor that is actually responsible for urban areas to get warmer because of high dense buildings. This wind flow gets reduced. In other words, ventilation reduces substantially, which actually increase this local warming. And finally, this loss of blue and green space. Blue space refers to these water bodies, and we know we have converted blue surfaces and green surfaces to urban areas or building materials that are actually responsible for local warming. And we want to see how Dhaka is actually warming over time. So when it is local warming, it does give you a range of impacts. For example, diurnal rainfall pattern and intense thunderstorm are quite severe, get severe or enhanced due to enhanced convection, especially in the afternoon time. Increased energy demand, and you might be imagining yourself that people in the city areas are getting more air coolers to reduce their heat, so that it increases the energy demand. Microclimate gets reduced, gets modified severely, which also impacts our daily life, especially working life. Anthropogenic urban areas or local warming can actually release more carbon dioxide to the atmosphere, which is detrimental to our climate, to our global system. Surface energy budget gets changed or modified. Ventilation is another problem. The most important thing is the infectious disease, because temperature controls everything in Earth's surface, and therefore these you can get dengue, you can get diarrhea, and so on. An indirect way of local warming is sleep loss, and sleep loss can actually impact people's life a lot. We have actually analyzed 70,000 images for day and night, and this can actually help you to understand how local warming is aggravated over time and space in Dhaka. So if you look at this one, in 2003 image, during daytime, we do have less number of pixels get warmed, but in 2018, they have substantially increased, especially with very high urban heat island areas, and this can give you daytime surface urban heat island in Dhaka. And this is nighttime. Again, if you look at here over time and space, you can see here number of pixels that have high surface urban heat was very low, but in 2018 they have increased substantially, and they tend to increase over time because of increased human activities and anthropogenic heats that are released by anthropogenic activities. So if you look at this bar graph, that can actually show you the intensity of mean monthly surface urban heat island or local warming in Dhaka. And in April has got the highest daytime temperature, and in nighttime you can see that the December and January has got the highest nighttime temperature. And during July, the daytime temperature is high, but not as high as April. But we have got negative temperature or no surface urban heat island during July in Dhaka. So this means, if you analyze this graph, when the temperature between day and night time gets reduced, it affects the diurnal temperature pattern, and you do feel irritation, you do feel an annoying because of temperature. It looks like you can sweat at any time, and there is no certain sort of rules that can follow. And this increase of temperature means it will introduce a lot of new disease vectors that can actually affect human life. When we have looked at the factors that are affecting this urban local warming in Dhaka, we have seen that during winter, the aerosol optical depth or aerosol in the air and biophysical composition in terms of impervious surface or albedo, BSA, black sky albedo have got positive effect, but NDVI is negative, which is quite expected, and this is during the night time. In pre-monsoon, we can see that AOD or aerosol and imperviousness, they have got serious impact on local warming, but BSA has got negative impact, and NDVI, as expected, is negative. One point that you can identify from here during night and day, that we have got monsoon NDVI positive, which is quite which is contrary to the literature. It could be because of the soil moisture, because we have got copious rainfall during monsoon in Bangladesh, and that may affect the NDVI or vegetation temperature, and that is probably the reason we do have a positive effect of vegetation and temperature, which is contrary to existing literature. Now I'm going to show what we have done very recently on 5 large cities of Bangladesh, and this is the paper that has just got accepted in a journal, which will be available within a couple of weeks online. And in this study, we have done 5 cities: Dhaka, Rajshahi, Sylhet, Khulna, and Chittagong. The reason of doing this one is to see the comparison between cities, which one is highly impacted by temperature, so that it can actually help policymakers to develop relevant mitigation measures to save people life and livelihood. So we have selected these cities based on population and based on the availability of data. As you know, it becomes really difficult to get data on Bangladesh, and therefore we have chosen these 5 cities to research on the surface urban heat island. So if you look at here, annual sort of surface urban heat island daytime and nighttime, you can see that Dhaka consistently gets higher temperature, followed by Chittagong, and these 3, Rajshahi, Khulna, and Sylhet, they do also have the surface urban heat island, but the impact is not as severe as Dhaka and Chittagong. It is quite expected because Dhaka and Chittagong are the largest. Dhaka is the first and Chittagong stands second, and they are getting the highest temperature or surface urban heat island intensity. If you look at here, this is the seasonal surface urban heat island intensity between day and night, and you can see here in pre-monsoon time, Dhaka has got the temperature from 3 to 4 degrees Celsius higher compared to its rural area, and in night time it is also like nearly 2 degrees Celsius higher in Dhaka and Chittagong. When I look at monsoon, Dhaka still has the highest, and as I said, it is the largest city in Bangladesh, so it is quite expected that the city size is actually impacting urban temperature of Dhaka. And this is pre-monsoon and this is post-monsoon and winter, day and night. And the problem of the surface urban heat island is that winter season has got the temperature rising, and that will actually affect so many things, especially people's life and livelihood. You will feel an irritation, you will sweat very early, and you need more water to take, because you may face dehydration of increasing temperature. And this increase of urban temperature can impact each and every sphere of our life, because temperature controls everything in daily life. So when you look at the spatial patterns of annual day and night of surface urban heat island, you can see here, this is Chittagong in daytime. Mostly the population that are living very close to the CBD area or Central Business District area, they have got the highest temperature in daytime, and nighttime is also temperature high, could be 2.1 to 3 degrees Celsius. When you look at Dhaka, Dhaka is, as I said before, it is increasing. Daytime is very widespread, and nighttime the number of pixels having 3.1 to 4 degrees Celsius or 2 to 4 degrees Celsius are getting increased. When you look at Khulna, Khulna has got a relatively less surface urban heat island intensity compared to these 2 large cities, as well as Rajshahi and Sylhet. So this slide shows the spatial pattern of surface urban heat island intensity in 5 large cities of Bangladesh, and this is the relationship between population density and surface urban heat island in Bangladesh. And you can see here Sylhet, Dhaka, Chittagong. The surface urban heat island intensity is impacted by population density during daytime, and during monsoon time it is Dhaka and Chittagong. During post-monsoon, Dhaka and Chittagong, and winter time, Rajshahi, Dhaka, and Chittagong are impacted by population. And when you look at here, this is only Rajshahi during post-monsoon season has got a significant association with population density. When it is winter night, Rajshahi, Dhaka, and Chittagong, they are showing significant positive relationship between population and surface urban heat island intensity. When you look at the lack of greenness and surface urban heat island, this slide shows how lack of greenness is impacting surface urban heat island in large Bangladesh cities. For example, when you look at pre-monsoon daytime, 5 cities are impacted by lack of greenness, and it is not a surprise. The reason is we do have little green or vegetated areas in large cities of Bangladesh. And these map shows you the relationship between greenness and surface urban heat island over 5 large cities during different seasons in Bangladesh. When you look at the trends of SUHI intensity, you can see here during pre-monsoon daytime, 4 cities except Rajshahi are increasing, are experiencing significant increase of temperature per year. And in monsoon daytime, it is only Khulna and Dhaka. And in post-monsoon, Rajshahi, Dhaka, Chittagong, and Khulna. And winter day, it is 4 cities except Rajshahi. When you look at here, only the post-monsoon season, Rajshahi has got significant increasing trend. And in winter night, Dhaka and Rajshahi, they have got increasingly significant trend. And this actually shows you how temperature gets increased over time in 5 large cities. As I mentioned before, we have used 70,000 daily images to come to this point to see how temperature is increasing over 5 large cities in Bangladesh. This is annual SUHI intensity trends, and you can see here daytime in Dhaka, it is not statistically significant, but the rate of increase is 0.062 degrees Celsius per year. And Chittagong, Khulna have got significant statistical significant in the increasing trend, and as you can see here, the daytime is increasing significantly in these large cities. When you see the night time, only Khulna has got negative trend. In other words, it doesn't increase, but rather decreasing. But in Rajshahi, it is a statistically significant trend. So the problem with using this MODIS data for this analysis is that it is impacted by cloud covers, especially during monsoon, and therefore this result is partially impacted by the cloud cover images that we have been sourced from NASA side. All right, these are the what we have shown here. What I have shown here, they are the research works that I have been doing over the last few years. We do have so many other areas or so many other works that are difficult to show in this case. But if you can go to my Google profile, you can find a number of areas that I'm researching on since the beginning of my career in these areas. So when you look at emerging research areas, a few to mention. The first is the climate change. Climate change will impact our whole society, our whole humanities, our humankind. So it is not actually environmental scientists that can contribute to these areas, but any people from any discipline can contribute to these areas. And this is becoming a burning issue across the world. We have been very much reliant on fossil fuel, and that fossil fuel have actually driven this climate to change quite rapidly. And in order to reduce or mitigate climate change, we need to emphasize more on renewable energy, and this is like solar, like hydropower, and this area is also very much emerging, and you can also contribute. No matter whether you are working in science or engineering, you can equally contribute to these areas. Urban ecology, because by 2050, more than 70% of the world population will be living in urban areas, and as a result, we will have so many impacts that urban area will experience, and we can also work on this urban ecology. And the next one is the geospatial data and method. This is an emerging area, and I should say that our education system has got lag in this area, but if you can develop yourself with geospatial data and methods that are really useful, and I have shown some of the maps and also data that are actually developed using these geospatial data and methods, and these methods or data are becoming really very essential for scientists to look into all these things over space and time. As you know, environmental pollution, especially in Bangladesh, environmental pollution gets severe during the winter time, especially air pollution. is one of the poorest in the world, especially Dhaka, and we also can contribute to this area a lot, and especially you can utilize this geospatial data, and there are sensors or satellites. They are providing real-time data for air pollution or other chemical or physical pollutants that can be actually traced with this geospatial data and can be developed with a range of methods. Climate change will make people more marginalized. Therefore, environmental justice is another emerging area that you also can contribute to. Finally, public health issues, and we are having COVID-19 across the world, and you see how it is impacting our daily life and economy. And also dengue and other vector-borne disease will be increased as a result of climate change. So you can also contribute to this area. Never mind, just remember one thing, that there are very many areas that you can contribute, and you can actually enhance existing knowledge to contribute to the world. If you want to become a researcher, it is not that easy. Again, it is very easy. It is actually your determination that you want to, where you want to see yourself. For example, when I have finished my PhD in 2005, I was talking to my professor when I was living to Dhaka, and I was talking to him, I have done my PhD, what is the next step that I can do? One thing that he has actually suggested me at that time, just imagine that what you want to do in your life, where you want to see yourself within 5 or 10 years. That can actually tell you what you can do. And that was a very, very crucial and critical sort of advice that he has given me. Yes, where I want to see myself in 5 years, because I have done my PhD, and PhD is nothing but a passport to be an independent researcher. So if you want to become a researcher, it is not that easy. Again, it is very easy depending on what you actually want to be and what is the level of your determination. First of all, you need to choose a topic. That topic can be coming from either of these areas, or it can be combination of these two. That's not a big problem. Then you start working on the literature. What is actually done in this area? What is actually missing? You need to identify the gap. The problem of Bangladeshi researcher is that, especially those who are living in Bangladesh, they do not want to search literature. They want to do something that is probably being done by somebody. So what you need to do, first, when you are choosing a topic, then you need to look at what is being done on that area. That actually tell you the gap, and that gap is very important. Then you need to think about the international significance and novelty of the work. This is quite crucial and very important if you want to target an international journal to publish. And you can contribute in 3 different areas. For example, you can contribute to theory. What is the existing knowledge? How it is actually, how you research or how your topic is going to advance existing theory. Or you can develop a new method. The old method is mostly old haggard, and it is no longer useful. So you can develop a method. So you can also contribute to this space. Or you can do an incremental sort of study. So we knew that this is happening, but we also want to enhance our finding from what is known now. What you need to do when you want to be a researcher, always take this approach, or put this approach in your mind. Think globally, but act locally. So you are acting locally, but you are contributing to global areas, so that it actually raises international significance, and it can have good novelty of your work that can attract by different people from different corners of the world. Finally, what you need to look at is to consider the impact. I'm doing a research, but if it doesn't have an impact, then it is no point to do this research. If people are not going to read it, if people are not going to cite it, if people are not going to view it, then there is no meaning of doing a research. So always, when you are going to do a research, first think about the impact, how you are going to contribute. As I mentioned, these are the 3 areas that you can contribute to. But to contribute these 3 areas at the same time is difficult. So you need to learn step by step. If you want to go to the top in one go, it is very difficult. So you need to do little by little. Gradually, you need to advance yourself. So always think about the impact, how you're going to make an impact to the scientific community with your work. And therefore, if you consider these things, they will be quite useful for you to become a researcher. If you want to collaborate with researchers from other part of the world beyond Bangladesh, during my time, it was very difficult because internet was not that widespread. YouTube was just releasing, and it was not that fast. Now you people have got so many platforms, so many opportunities that you can take advantage of it. For example, let's take this example of this Gobeshok Hote Chai. So this is a very good and novel sort of initiative introduced by Mr. Sabbir, and which is becoming very popular. So if you want to collaborate, so many things that you have to have in your mind. When I have started my career, I did not have access to materials, resources as you can have now. I had to struggle a lot. What I used to do, if I didn't know anything, then I used to write an email to a world researcher and requesting him to give me a clarification to show me how to do it. So it was my time, but so many videos, so many learning resources are available online. You probably do not need to do that. But what you want to do when you want to collaborate with somebody outside of your country, first of all, you need to think of what you want to work with. If you want to do something that has already been done, everybody knows about it, it is no point to go forward with that sort of opinion or that sort of option. So first of all, you need to think about what I'm going to do, what I'm going to write to my collaborator, a potential collaborator. The biggest problem of our fellow students or our fellow friends in Bangladesh, they do have lack of skills. And these are quite essential for you to cope with the first world people. Because what we are doing now in Bangladesh today, probably they have done 20 years ago. So this is nothing new to them. And therefore, in order to upskill yourself, you need to learn, you need to go through resources so that you can collaborate people in a particular area outside of Bangladesh. These two are very, very important, these two bullet points in the end. First of all, is the commitment, which is a very, very crucial and critical issue that you need to think of. You are interested to work with me. Today, you are going to send me an email, and after 2 days, you are disappearing. That is not a very good thing. First of all, decide yourself, determine yourself what you want to be, what you want to see yourself after 5 years, what you want to do. My first philosophy is I want to contribute. I want to live on this earth, even if I'm not, even when I'm dying, so that people keep remembering with my work. You recall Kavi Rabindranath Thakur, you recall Kavi Nazrul Islam, you recall very big scholars just because of their work, not because they were very much smart or handsome. I'm not a smart or handsome guy, but what I want to do, I put my commitment very firm and I'm very punctual. And if you have a chance to talk to Mr. Adnan, Dr. Sharfraz Mohammad Adnan, you can talk to him. He has found that my commitment level, my punctuality are really, very firm. If I say something today that I'm going to do, I'll do it. So this area you need to improve yourself, and especially when you are trying to collaborate with researchers outside of Bangladesh. And always be firm, be determined, be positive. You can, I mean, I used to write few people when I started my career. Not all of them responded me quite enthusiastically, but there were a few who were very much instrumental in my life to come to this point. And these are the qualities that you need to develop when you want to collaborate with researchers from other part of the world. So this is the quotation that you need to remember from South African President Nelson Mandela. When you are trying to collaborate with researcher, just remember this one. It seems difficult until it is done. This is a very useful quotation that I keep remembering when I enter into a contract with anybody outside of my area or outside of my country. So, and publication outlets and tips. Well, it is very difficult to say you that how many journals are there. Obviously, you guys are very much smarter than me because there is a generation gap between you and me. And when I started, there were a few digital resources available, but now you have got huge digital resources, and COVID-19 has actually shown people how to develop digital resources for the betterment of humanity, for education and other things. So there are many outlets, publication outlets exist. You probably know all of this, like Elsevier, Taylor and Frankie's, and Springer, and so on. But there are some other specialized organizations. They do publish special or discipline-specific papers, but you can identify all of them by searching on the internet. So tips to publish. it's very difficult, especially when people are starting to publish or target to publish in an international journal. But I can tell you from my own experience, don't get feared of anything. If you take the quote of William Shakespeare, coward die many times before their death. This means if you are fear of something, you are actually putting yourself down in the back end or in the background. You are very much afraid to go ahead. So don't do that. Come, stand firm and take a risk. Without risk, you cannot be successful in life. So I was teaching in Dhaka University for more than 15 years, but at one stage I had to leave Dhaka University. The reason is one side it is family thing, the other side is I could not do anything that I wanted to do. So it is not because of my intention that I wanted to leave Dhaka. I wanted to serve my country, but there are a few problems. Probably you people know what are the problems I'm referring to, especially lack of resources or politics and so on. So when you are going to look at or try to publish paper in a national journal, first of all, you need to look at the originality of your work or contribution to the area that you are going to work. If there is no nobility, there is no international significance, it is very hard to get a paper published in an international journal. So this is the first thing that you need to consider. Secondly, try to target good journal, high impact factor journal or H index. So this, if you can prove that your research has got these two firm, then obviously you can target a very good journal that would attract good number of citations, which can make you a very good researcher in the world. Finally, I would again start with a quote from Nelson Mandela: "Is that education is the great engine of personal development. It is through education that the daughter of a peasant can become a doctor, that the son of a mine worker can become the head of the mine, a child of farm workers can become the president of a great nation. It is what we make out of what we have, not what we are given, that separates one person from another." Please put this quote in your mind. And Nelson Mandela, you know that he is one of the respected world leaders in history, and he was in prison for 27 years of his life. But he was actually against the racism that was there in South Africa. But he has shown how how a real education can change your life. So you can also take the lead, and you can become the president of a nation if you can get the good education with you. All right. Thank you for watching and listening, and hope you have enjoyed, and I'm ready for questions and answers. Thank you very much. Thanks being with me for last 40-50 minutes.
Thank you so much, sir. And I was enjoying it so much that even I took a notepad and started asking that why our area attracts the lighting, boulders, Bowen ratio, microclimate, and it was so interesting. And I was also listening with full attendance. So thank you so much sir, for your time and patience. It was really an engaging session, and especially I thoroughly enjoyed it because I got to learn so many things, and I didn't think that it was just a live. I was thinking that a class is going on and knowledge started pouring in front of me. So I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
And also, sir, now we will have our question answering session. So if
Yes.
any kind of sir, are you saying something?
Yeah, no. I'm saying please go ahead. I'm ready to
Okay,
give any answer if there is any question, please.
okay. So, apart from that, before that, if I could, I would just make you sit for an hour and ask questions and questions and questions because it was that much learned, compacted lecture actually that you gave. It was really very much enjoyable, sir. So, yeah, I will read out now questions from the comment box. So, if
Yes,
you have
please.
any kind of questions, please give us a comment so that we can read. And if not, then you can also comment on our StreamYard link as well. So, yeah, let's wait for the questions.
But Jesse, I cannot see any question, but probably you can see and you can tell me, right?
Yes, sir.
All right.
So they're asking that you were talking at first at first of the video you're talking about the polders. So can you just enlighten us what the polders are and what do they mean?
Well, polders are an encircled sort of embankment that is actually surrounded by few human settlements. And the polder is like an embankment, but it is encircled. It starts one place and then finishes in the same place, so that it can save people and life from flooding to happen in coastal areas of Bangladesh. These polders have been developed in 1960s during Pakistan regime to save people and agricultural lands. They were very much instrumental to save people and agricultural land in the beginning of their construction. However, within 50 years, the negative impact is there, and Professor Dr. Adnan was really very much useful to see the impact of these polders on people livelihood and wealth index that we have done in 2020.
So what are the conditions of these polders right now?
The conditions are dilapidated. Some of them are not functioning very well, and these polders are making so many problems in the coastal areas of Bangladesh, because what happens during tide, if saline water gets intruded to the polder areas, because land elevation is getting increased and they do not get out automatically, so the agricultural lands get salined, and people get saline water quite easily, and that's why aquaculture is becoming very, very popular there. Especially, the shrimp farming is very much popular, or chingri gher is very much popular there in the coastal areas of Bangladesh. And this government has tried to reconstruct or to change or to renovate these polders, but polders are not a solution, especially for the dynamic nature of the Bangladesh coast.
And then, sir, one of the questions asked, sir, assalamu alaikum, that you say that establishing collaborations beyond the country, so that now we are only in our general years for how can these beginners can actually start for collaborating with other experts in a specific field?
Well, the thing is, you are now beginner, but after 5 years, you are not a beginner. As a beginner, you just stand up, you just be firm that you are eligible to go ahead. The biggest thing, let me give you an example. When I was invited by the Oxford University to give a public lecture, when I was actually heading to the lecture venue, I met one person. I was very much sweating. The reason is, those people invited me. I have read their books. They are very much renowned professors in the world. And when I was traveling to the lecture venue, I met one person, and the lady, and she's a British, and she was saying that she was attending her daughter's closing ceremony or something, or convocation. And she was asking me, why are you sweating much? I said, look, I do have a presentation to give in front of world renowned professors, and that's why I'm very much sweating. And she said me a very good word in that time. She was saying, don't get upset, be firm, stand tall, and think that you are the right person to deliver this one in front of people, and just believe in you. Last statement that she has made, just believe in you. Similarly, I would say to all my fellow friends back home, just believe in you that you can do it. And if you are very much confident to go forward and to do something, I'm sure the success will come. Because when I have started my career, believe it or not, I was very much poor student. I was not a very good student at all. In my lifetime, I was not a very good student. I was a mediocre student, honestly speaking. It is not something that I was really very good student from the beginning of my life, etc. I was very, very poor student. But what I did follow what my teachers have said, what my parents have said. But my parents were very much annoyed with me, honestly speaking, because I didn't study that much. I was a PL fighter. Probably you guys know the PL fighter, paper fighter. I was a PL fighter. I went before the exam night. Okay. And I can tell you, when I was going for SSC exam for the first time, before the exam day, I was with my friend gossiping with him until 9 p.m. in the midnight. And my father was saying, tomorrow your exam is starting at 9 a.m. in the morning, and you were to start. At that time, there was no phone. But when I came back home, my father was very much annoyed, because tomorrow is your exam. And that's what I am. But I have
used to be a very calm-headed person.
It is not a calm-headed, because I was really very much. I'm not a good person indeed. I like gossiping with my friend at the time, and I was a very good player though. I did play handball for Dhaka University. I was a very good cricketer. I was enjoying my cricketing, my football. I was a God gifted sort of player, but I was not a very good student. But what I have done over the years, when I have learned that I can contribute to knowledge and I could contribute to my country, I was thinking, no, this is a right approach to go forward, because remember, nobody will give you any space. You need to create this space, and that space can be created by you, not other people. And your life is your life. Nobody is going to take care of your life. If you can shine in your life, people will say so many good things. But if you are failing, nobody is going to talk about you. Nobody is thinking about unsuccessful story. Everybody wants to show or know or hear a successful story. So it is actually a very big event that happened in my life in 1998 or 1997. Let me give you a brief of that story that actually changed my thinking to become a
I was
researcher.
thinking of asking this question to you actually, if even if you are not going to say that, because it's really
One day
much
I was
interesting.
actually studying IELTS in British Council, and two guys were actually stealing books at the time, right? But I have noticed that they are stealing books, and I said this one to one British Council manager at that time in Dhaka, and I was saying, look, this is the way that they're stealing books here. And that guy was saying me, what you were doing? I said, I'm a student. I have got passed from geography in Dhaka University. I have got both first position, but I haven't got any job. I'm preparing myself for IELTS. And he was saying that he has given me really, really very good words. And honestly speaking, to come to this point, I have got blessings from very many people in my life, and they are all alive. One of them, at that time, he was the research director of Bangladesh Institute of International Strategic Studies, and he has paved my life. Another person, Dr. Sentu, he was working in BARC, Ghulam Hossain Sentu. He was a very my dear guy. These are the two persons away from my field, away from my department. They actually paved my life. They have actually nurtured me, and they have given me very good comments every time. Even if I did perform very bad, they were very much instrumental. So this was a story that actually made my life changed. And that guy said, look, I'm giving you an opportunity to do IELTS here at free of cost, and just read your IELTS, just prepare yourself with IELTS. And at that time, before IELTS, my English was very poor. I even could not understand how to speak in English. Normally, it is in Bangladesh, you can expect this one because we do not speak this one everyday life. But that guy was saying, okay, it looks like that you are a very honest guy. You have shown me how people are stealing from here, and I'm giving you an opportunity to prepare yourself in IELTS here. And the other two guys that I have mentioned, one from BISS, he is now a professor in North South University. The other guy is working in an international organization. I do have communication with them. Look, if you are getting a help from somebody, it is your job to maintain a relationship. At least say them hi sometimes. But we people keep forgetting them. We people try to relate things differently. It depends on personality. But I have got so much support from people that are completely away from my field, not from my department, geography department, not my teachers, and so many. I mean, if I say my story, it is like a fairy tale. You will be you people will be blessed to know my story. I'm from such a family. We could not eat three times a day, and I was beaten by my father very many times to watch television in other houses. So because I was very much poor at that time. But it is your determination, it is your honesty that actually put you here. Otherwise, like, if I'm an unsuccessful man, obviously you are not going to talk to me, you are not going to invite me to talk in this forum. So that's how you need to think of as a beginner. Now you are a beginner. After 5 years, you are not a beginner. But from the beginning, you develop your determination, what you want to be. If, for example, you want to be a researcher, invest your time on that. If you do not like it, do not come to this point, because it is just wastage of your time. And if you are losing your time, there would be little opportunity to heal this time. Therefore, if you want to be a researcher, or if you want to be a scientist, if you want to be a BCS cadre, start from the beginning. Do not lose time giving in another area. That will kill your time, but that will not make you anything in life. That is the main philosophy of my life, that look, if you want to invest your time, invest on something that you do enjoy. If you don't do it, don't do it. All
Okay,
right.
so I guess that Nelson Mandela quote reflects on your life as well. That education is something that can turn our lives as well, and it
Well,
can change the
yeah.
status.
if you want to, I mean, we need to follow somebody, right? We normally follow, I mean, it can be a model in a television, it can be model of your life, your parent or your teacher. That's what we do. But I do follow Nelson Mandela because he was a great leader, and he has showed how education can enlighten a society, how education can help you develop your career, right?
Yes, so create your own space. No one's going to give you space. That's a
Of
really
course.
wonderful thought of yours, sir.
Yeah.
So Hassan Mahmood has asked, please suggest some resources to gather environment-related datasets such as rainfall, drought, etc. In Bangladesh, I face difficulty to gather this type of dataset. As you said earlier as well, that in Bangladesh we had much hardship in collecting this dataset. So how can we obtain this type of data?
Well, the he is probably right, and these days it is not difficult, I should say, because this environmental data like rainfall, drought, they are all available over the internet. You just need to search the right word in the Google search engine. For example, rainfall, satellite rainfall data is available. At least there are 10 to 25 satellite products that are available over Bangladesh as well. And drought, if you go to the FAO site, or Food and Agriculture Organization, they do update drought data time to time over Bangladesh. And USAID, an international organization, they do have drought data as well. So if you want to get data from the internet, they are free of cost, and there are organizations across the world, they are creating data for the third world people or developing countries people. So you are the future leader of our country. If you get started now, if you be firm on your decision that what you want to be, research is an area, it is like an addiction, like yaba, like heroin. I mean, if you are really get taste of it, you become very much addicted. And I mean, I can see Dr. Adnan of Chittagong University of Science and Technology. He's also such a dedicated guy, and he also likes enjoying doing research. And you need to enjoy something if you want to do something. Okay, if you do not enjoy, then there will be no success in your life. And the thing is, data. It was a big difficulty to get data over Bangladesh during our regime, but now so much data are available over the internet at free of cost. If you are really sincere and dedicated to find this data, I am sure there will be no problem. You just need to search it over the internet.
Yes, I think probably you're the only one who compared Yaba with research factors, because normally research is a boring topic, and you made it so interesting that research is like Yaba.
It's obviously nothing is easy in this world, right? When you have just born, at that time you didn't know this world, but now you know so many things of this world, right? Okay, so your parents have given you a way to brought up, right? And to grow up. Now you know so many things, similar sort of things. When you start with something, you don't like it, especially people from our country. We do have so much problem in our so many problems in our country, especially lack of resources and skills. Curriculums, they are not updated according to world standard, uh, if I'm not wrong. And then you don't get support from your fellows, you don't get support from your teachers. There is a lag between teachers and students, from my experience in Dhaka University. So if you have ever if you got any chance with my students to interact in future, those who I have taught, you will find that I have always encouraged them to become a good person, not to become a good researcher. First of all, as a human, you need to define yourself that you are a good person, mentally, right? If you are not good person, then probably it is difficult to get successful in life. So an education is the vehicle for you to get successful in life. Okay, as I showed in the last slide. So what I would suggest you, first of all, you determine what you want to be. That is the main thing, that is the crucial thing. If you think that you want to be a singer, but you by chance you have become teacher, then probably that will not make your life easier. And as I said, I was not a very good student, I was a very poor student. But with my hard work, with my commitment, with my punctuality, I did make things happen. And that's why I have so many collaborations across the world. uh, you would be surprised to know that I get invited by very many organizations that I never dreamt of. But because of my hard work, that has become possible, otherwise it is not. So wherever you are putting your time, that will grow your association. If you do put your time in politics, then you can get benefit of politics. If you put time in research, you get benefit of it. But Remember, success doesn't come in one day. What I'm having this sort of forum after 20 years, 21 years of my career, because I was working in my career for the last 20 years. Now I have become I have been invited. I have been invited by very many organizations that I never dreamed of, honestly speaking. It is just because of your hard work. If I mean, when I joined in Dhaka University, I was really very much humiliated with some of my colleagues. I do not want to mention their name, and it is possibly for some of our fellow teachers, some of our fellow friends, they also face the same thing. But one guy was stimulating me always, and he was saying, "Keep working. One day you will get benefit of it." And now I really remember, I really recall what he has said at that time. So the thing is, people will be putting impediment in front of you. People will be putting barrier in front of you. It is your choice to clean up this barrier and go forward. If you are stuck there, and if you think that, no, sorry, I mean, I'm stuck here and I do not want to move forward, then you are actually losing. You should not lose. As a human being, nobody will be taking care of your life. When you have grown up, your parents took care of your life. Now you have grown up, and it is your duty to make your life shiny. Nobody is going to do that. Obviously, there will be problems, and being a developing country, we do have so many problems. It is obviously, as a human being, it is also, you can make your life good, systematic, and can make your life visible to everyone. If you don't do that, and if you are disappointed with somebody's behavior and you've just given it up, then you are a loser. He or she is not the loser, right? That's how I always say that, believe in you.
Thank you so much. It was kind of more than a geographic topic to exchanging session actually. So one of the students, Mr. Stabak Das, has said, if an electric engineer wants to conduct research in environmental science in engineering, being a cross-department student, is it possible to change? And how, if so, then how he or she can take the preparation for that?
All right. We are living in a world at this moment that there is no single discipline can make your life easier, and cross-disciplinary sort of things are becoming much more popular and being encouraged by world reputed organizations like World Bank, IMF, or so on, or research organizations like we know so many research organizations. You are an electrical engineer, that's not a big problem. Obviously, you have got your bachelor degree. If you want to switch to environmental science, renewable energy is the topic that you can pick up and you can work with. Or you can work with, like we do have Facebook, we do have Twitter, and all these open source or open platforms can actually help you to see how you can make life easier for people. So I'm an electrical engineer, and I cannot switch to environmental science. That is a bogus sort of thinking. If you want to do that, what I would suggest you, look at the area that is very much fitting to your interest, okay, from environmental science. And if you want to make a big shift in your life, you need to come out from your comfortable zone. If you want to be your comfortable zone and you want to be successful in that space, it is very difficult, especially when competition is very intense in this part of the world. And because of technology, everything is getting really very difficult. Again, it is becoming very easier. But if you want to switch from one area to another area, first of all, look at which area best fits with your area of interest. Then you gradually move to that area. That's what I would do if I were in your shoes.
Okay. And then Mr. Arif Hussain added on that for collaborating with other experts in a specific field, how can a beginner start?
Well, it depends on you. For example, I see that so many, I get email from so many university teachers of Bangladesh, right? And they want to work, they want to do research. And initially, when I have started, and when people communicated me, I was very much happy and very much delighted to communicate them. But after 2-3 days, they disappear. Okay, because I'm living in the first world country, and here life is very much defined. I know what I'm going to do tomorrow at 9 a.m. It is very difficult to say for a person in Bangladesh, because there are so many social barriers that you may come across, right? For example, you want to go to university, but you want to find a rickshaw, you don't find any vehicle to go, such and such. So as a beginner, what you need to do, you need to be very firm that this is the area that I want to explore, and I want to get contact with somebody that is reputed in my area. So then you just approach and tell, I mean, sometimes it is very good to become, to say that this is your status. You are a new guy, you don't know such and such, you want to learn, and if there is any opportunity that that guy can give you, that you can be explored and you can advance your career. So first of all, be very much honest. Tell him or her that you want to do such and such, and tell what is your status, and you can upskill yourself. Today we do have YouTube, we do have so many other platforms that can actually enlighten you with tools and technologies. The big problem that I see with my country fellow people, they do have lack of skills, and that is the biggest problem. And if you can upskill yourself, then that will actually help you to go forward. As I said, nobody wants to spend time for an unsuccessful sort of story. If you want to be successful, try to be positive, be determined, and talk to him or her to say to give you a pathway to go forward.
Okay, so we
All
got
right.
3 key points like having a growth mindset, honesty, dedication, and then you'll pave your way on its own. So
Oh
I
yes,
have a personal question.
yes,
If you
please.
might don't mind, you told me that if you're not happy, then don't do it, or if you're happy, then only then go for it. So now in these days, generations of our generation, that Z generation, are having the problem with that we don't know what's our dream or what's our passion actually. We just go with the flow that this is coming. Okay, so let's pass the SSC, let's pass the HSC. And you also said yourself that you were a kind of a player from being
Right.
a PL student, PL fighter, if we
Mm.
quote your words, to this much having a position to these things. The how did you determine that you want to do or achieve this sort of things? Like how did you even plan that what you want to become in next 5 years? Because as you said, life is very much unpredictable. So you don't know how whether your choice or your passion will change or not. So how do we stick to a dream, or how do you even find a dream in this
All
age
right.
of going so fast, things technology based?
Well, especially competition is very much high and they're growing, and it is growing across the world. The dream that I mean, what I would say in this, especially at present life in the world, and I mean I see that future life will be much more difficult for our generations. The reason is technology is driving people away from their work, and it is in artificial intelligence that is actually putting people off their jobs and things like that. But I mean, what I would say, if you want to get started, you first need to think one thing, that you cannot find a particular situation of your own. For example, if you like, let me say a very silly example. If I like Aishwarya Rai, and I probably cannot get to her, so what I need to do, I need to do a compromise. Similarly, in your real world, if you want to be successful, you should not think that whatever I desire, I'll get it like the way I want. You can't get it. So what you need to do, according to your situation, you need to adapt. You need to compromise with the situation. If you see that you are getting 50% of it, next rest 50% you need to compromise. You need to adapt yourself. And we are living in a time when technology is really a driving factor that are making our life changed, right? What you need to do, you need to make a mindset that you can adapt to a particular situation depending on your situation. For example, you want to be a footballer, but I want to make you a cricketer. It is not possible. If you want to make yourself happy with something, if you feel interesting to do research, then invest your time. If you do not feel that you do not want to be a researcher, do not invest your time. Do invest your time whatever you feel good, whatever you enjoy. Otherwise, the time that you are going to invest, that will be probably wasted. For a country like Bangladesh, it is very difficult. Like you were saying, we are just flowing whatever is coming up and we are trying to achieve it, something like that. It is not because of you, because you need to understand it is a huge populous country. And in a small country like Bangladesh, we are having 18 crore or 20 crore of population. And within our country, there is an intense competition. And there are also backbiters. They are always trying to disrupt people, those who want to do something good. And it was in my time as well. It was your parents' time as well, but they probably were firm. And I was, as I said, I mean, I was not a good student at all. If you look at my SSC record, it was very poor. I just got marginally first class. In HSC, I got marginally first class, but I was very much firm after my HSC that I want to do something and something. So first of all, determine yourself. Be firm that I want to do it. If you don't want to do it, do not invest. And you need to make a mindset that you are going to compromise with the situation if it fulfills at least 50% of your desire. Rest 50% you can adapt. If it is against 100%, then you cannot do it. So your
Okay.
mindset is very important. How you are going to determine your mindset. If your mindset is different, you cannot do that. That's what I
Okay.
should say. That mindset is important in life.
Thank you so much again for your valuable time. And thank you also for the audiences for lovely participation and activation. Now our next research idea series will be held on 10th of April 2021 to get updates. Oh, sorry, it's already 11th of April. So our next research idea series number 6 will be held on 13th of April 2021. To get updates of our activities, please follow our page, join our group, and subscribe to our channel. And till then, please stay updated with Gobeshok Hote Chai, Be Researcher BD, which is now a family of 23,000 members, including our group page and channel. And that's happened with only a 9 month span. So invite your research enthusiast friends to our platform as well. Wish you all success and health. Allah Hafiz.
Thank you very much and see you again.
Thank you so much. It was lovely meeting you.
Yeah. Bye then.